And the first start is, it's not about you coming out, it's about you accepting yourself and loving yourself as a human being, and know that you're worthy, and know that you being on this planet isn't an accident. So I had a bit of an identity crisis, because here I am, like, fully living out my life openly. Do I fully use my, my sexuality? Is it at the core of my identity as an artist? Or do I want it not to be part of my identity?
So this is our first in-person interview in London. So
Amazing.
Really happy to have you. So thank you so much for your time this morning.
Thank you for having me.
And so for any of our listeners who haven't heard of you and don't know about you and your story, I think an introduction would be a really nice place for us to start. So could you please tell us a bit about yourself?
Hello. Hi. How are you doing today?
Good, thank you.
Amazing. How did you sleep last night?
I slept really well, actually. Yeah. How did you sleep last night?
I slept amazing.
Perfect.
I woke up so good. I wish I could still be sleeping. No, I love being here. Don't get me wrong. Hi, I am Willis Chimano. I think I'm a wonderful human being.
You seem like a wonderful human being.
Well, thank you. So do you.
Made a good first impression.
I'm a wonderful human being. I'm a singer-songwriter. I am a storyteller, and and I'm a well-rounded person. Formerly part of one of the biggest boy bands from the African continent, and now on my solo journey of my art and my storytelling and my music and my visuals and all of that. So in a way, I'm creative directing my own life.
I like that. That's a nice phrase, I think. And so I think if we sort of rewind a little bit to when you were in, that band.
Yeah.
Can you tell us a bit about that? And sort of, you've mentioned in an interview before in The Guardian that you felt like you were hiding behind a mask. And I wondered if you could talk to us a bit about why that was and sort of what was going on there for you.
So the name of the band is called Sauti Sol. So Sauti Sol means Sauti Swahili for voice, and Sol is SOL is Latin Spanish for sun. So the meaning is voices of the sun. So we've known each other since high school.
Wow.
High school. This was way back from 2002 thereabouts to when we finished high school to 2005. So the band was gradually formed from high school all the way till our hiatus in 2023. So I mean, you must understand, like in those days, it was one of those things you couldn't really come out in what way or be open about who it is that you are. So it was, and as well being on the continent and being in Kenya. So I just had to get by, because it would be damned if it was because of me that our careers wouldn't have flourished. So I wasn't going to let that happen. So so it did feel like hiding behind a mask, because I was playing a role. I was playing a role, and I had to, to not get by. I did enjoy the process of it all. But because that's the only thing that we've known since high school, at some point your spirit starts to give in, and your individuality as well wants to express itself. And I think in general, it wasn't just me. We have four of us in the band. So each one of us as well, it was something that I think needed to happen in terms of self-expression and understanding who we are as individuals, because we've only known being together since we were in high school. So it was a pretty huge mask to hide behind. But I move away from calling it hiding more and more.
Okay.
It was just a process to getting me to where I am right now, to being on this podcast right now, to talk about it.
Yeah. And so what was the moment that changed for you, and you stepped away from, I guess, I don't want to use the word hiding, but I don't.
No, it's fine. You can use it for now.
So how would you phrase it in that sense, and how did you step away from that?
I think more and more you begin to look at yourself. How do I see myself in the storytelling of the songs that we're writing and the songs that we're releasing? Because as I said, of course, your spirit and your body and your individuality screams to get out. So more and more you you want to have a different level of expression that represents you. And when you're in an outfit, I guess with many boy bands, there's almost always the one gay guy. I just happen to be the one.
Yeah.
So more and more it wants to express itself. And I would say in the course of being in the band, like I was the very flamboyant one and colorful one when I'm performing. It's I'm the one who's very we're all into our performances, but one would say when you looked at how I dressed and how it is that I express myself, I guess that was my way of showing you who it is that I am. So I mean, eventually it was throughout the years it was an open secret about my sexuality, but then when you don't say it, people will talk about it, because still on the continent, it's not like here or in the Western world where it's it's normal. It's nothing to be surprised about. Like, oh my God. Still on the continent, it is one of those things. So eventually something happened. What is it? I don't know if I should talk about it, but something happened. A photo of me and my partner was seen, and then the news started, and people started talking about it, and the news outlets picked it up. And eventually, when I was interviewed by some blog, then because they asked the question, I couldn't now say like, oh no, or rather I don't want to talk about it. I just had to like now say it. And so from then on, that's when it just became like an avalanche of interesting outcomes. Yeah.
Very diplomatic way of
very
phrasing
diplomatic.
it, I
know,
imagine.
right? Yeah, it was one of those things like you sometimes you can feel the turn of the tide. The turn of the tide, on one side you're feeling empowered and you're feeling really good, but then on the other side, the people who would otherwise listen to your music without any prejudice or without any qualm or whatever, a lot of the people who would also say that I can't listen to the music anymore the same way anymore.
Right. Okay.
Because first of all, they're wondering like, so who are you singing to? Are you singing to another guy?
Okay.
Or it was weird. But on the other hand as well, the outpouring of love and support is also something to take note of, because you do tend to forget about the people who are there for you in those times when you're really going through it. And it was interesting. Yeah.
You really notice the people who show up for you in those moments,
exactly.
don't you? And who are there for you and kind of help you get through a moment like that.
Yeah, fully. But the thing is that it took a lot to fully see them, because you're caught up in catastrophizing so much that you don't see. It's easy to focus on what should be. It's easy to mourn, a part of you that you feel like you're losing, and also to mourn people who you thought were maybe fans of yours, or to also feel that which had given you so much freedom in terms of like fulfilling a big part of your dreams to becoming an artist, the kind of artist that we became, also became kind of like my box. It put me back in a box, or it became a little prison for me, because now, you have to now, I guess, calculate your every move, how you're releasing of your songs, where you're gonna go, because it's less about maybe your life is in danger, but more about the perception of people around you, because now you're a topic of discussion. Yeah,
you have to be, doing all that mental maths, I guess, moving about the world in a completely different way. And how did you stay grounded, like, during those moments? Like, how did you, like, stay within yourself and kind of get yourself through that?
Well, it was difficult in the beginning, because I didn't know how to deal with it, because this was very foreign. And as well, you can imagine going on hiatus from a band like you've been part of for for many years. So
Yeah.
we're all on hiatus. We're not calling it breaking up because we're very mature about it. Because at some point we just had a come to Jesus moment, and we just told ourselves like, this is how we're feeling, and I think we need to maybe figure this out before it becomes something out of nothing.
Yeah.
Because sometimes when people are frustrated with each other and maybe tired of each other, and then you don't address it, it just becomes this this pressure cooker. So we even had to, we saw a therapist together. We had, I know, like, we just said kumbaya. No, we were very mature about it.
It sounds like it.
So we just went on, so we're calling it a hiatus because we do have a lot of other businesses together. So that was interesting, or rather that was a bit difficult, like not navigating that now after the hiatus, when you go home and you don't have the same routine the next day or for the next however few months. So you don't have the same routine, and so the feeling of starting all over again is there. And so a lot of times people around me, they keep telling me like, you're not starting all over again, you're just starting a new chapter based off of as well your life experiences that you've had, the goodwill that you have. And so that was a difficult time from 2023. And when you do think about it, it doesn't seem like it's a long time ago, but it was just one of those things you feel like, oh my God, so now I feel like I'm this old. Can we curse?
You can curse.
Just feel like I'm this old bitch. I'm just like, fuck, okay. Pop stars are young. Pop stars are so young. Pop stars are young. But anyway, so
you're not old.
Oh my God, I'm a 38-year-old octogenarian.
Does that make you feel old?
My body creaks here and there, but it's all good. So of course there's that feeling, because of course based off of like the music industry and all of that, especially with what we were doing, and given like we did break out, or rather in our African and Kenyan context, when we were in our early 20s. So I guess I was a young pop star. And then there was that, and also trying to figure out, am I still in love with the music? Do I still love the music? Who exactly it is that I am? So I had a bit of an identity crisis, because here I am like fully living out my life openly. So I'm searching for identity. Do I fully use my my sexuality? Is it at the core of my identity as an artist? Or do I want it not to be part of my identity? Because and I would say that was probably the default that I fell back on.
Okay.
Because now that I'm open, I didn't want it now to be part of the story. I didn't want it to be part of the storytelling, because I just thought like that's just so cliche. Now I'm going to start using my sexuality to promote in my work as a core tenet of my work. And we just fast forward, then I met my current manager now, and after many prior sessions before now, like fully starting to work together, just exploring now who it is that I am, and it was kind of like a bit of like therapizing. So so we did a lot of work, and just working on the archetype, like just working on my tree and my branches and all of that. That's a whole afternoon.
You have to come back and do another conversation.
And just now realizing that my story is my superpower, and fully understanding that everyone is unique in their own way, and that my story is my story and it deserves to be told. So before getting back fully into the music, she told me about like a Fringe festival. It's called Adelaide Fringe. Sorry, excuse me. And it was about storytelling. And of course, you can imagine my apprehension in the beginning. I was just like, oh God, so now I'm going to like stand in front of people to tell them about being gay in Africa. Like, mew, mew, mew. Look at me. I'm a gay man in Africa. But we did a lot of work. And I will say, when we eventually got to Adelaide and Adelaide Fringe Festival, I don't know what we were thinking, because we were just like, shall we do 5 shows? And then when I'm in Australia now, I'm just like, oh my God, what did we just do? 5 shows. Just gonna do 5 shows. Like, nobody knows me. 5 consecutive shows, like Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday.
Wow, all in a row.
All in a row.
Oh my goodness.
Oh my God, I was cursing because it's my first time. So my partner's Australian, so I was at his parents' house in a city called Bundaberg, so
Okay.
in Queensland.
Oh, like the drink.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. So we were there over New Year's. And as well, this was early this year. So the Fringe was in March this year. So I was there from January. So we had a script. And I was just going through it, and because I've never done this, so I'm just thinking how it should be perfect, because as well I come from a system of where everything was organized and arranged for you.
Okay.
We had our handlers, all of that. Yeah. No, we had our people.
Okay.
So everything schedules, everything is arranged, everything is structured, blah blah blah.
You just kind of go along for the ride.
You kind of feel like you just go along for the ride, or things are kind of like easier for you.
Yeah.
Where you don't have to think about a lot of other things. You just focus on the creative but then yes, still here I was focused on the creative, but then also this is something I'm doing for myself, and I'm starting this new chapter with having new people. I'm working with new people over there, and then working with new people, and yeah. So I was really, really just scared as I was looking at that script. Anyway, we get to Adelaide Fringe, and yeah, it was interesting because we did it in an old church. A former church. It's really cute, and for me it was a bit of like poetic justice because I grew up in the church.
Okay.
So I have a very conservative background. I grew up in a very conservative background, and don't we all us gays?
Yeah, isn't that how it goes?
So I grew up in a conservative. So that was very. I was like, okay, so my first solo shows are going to be in a church.
Yeah.
Okay, let's go.
I love that.
Yeah, let's give a sermon now.
Yeah.
So the first show I was very, very, very fucking scared. I was like, oh my God, what am I doing? But I eased into it and I enjoyed it. And I will say it helped me just figure my life out, figure my story out. Me talking about my story and people being there, and actually people actually coming to watch it. I was so grateful, and also just now learning how to navigate a lot of life now with grace and just being easeful and not complicating things.
Okay.
Physically and in my mind. Just embracing simplicity and surrendering to the process. And I have found like just being able to it's helped me with my self-expression. It's helped me with being able to sit like here and just be open. Yes, I did do interviews before, of course, but it was always like in a certain context, right? So so just being able to sit here and do this, it has helped me to be able to confidently just talk and tell a story and be vulnerable.
Yeah.
And also it's helping me identify, not figure myself out as an artist, as a writer, because as well it was affecting my songwriting was affected, and I don't want to use it as an excuse. It's just that when you're conflicted about your identity, it also seeps into your work.
Yeah, of course.
You know, when you're not able to fully write your experience and explore who it is you are as a person, which will feed into your craft, then it's like you have so many voices in your head and you're being pulled in so many different directions.
Yeah.
And sometimes your writing may feel inauthentic, and then you end up maybe just stopping or not exploring it any further. So what this has done is that, it's helped, and it's helping. And it has helped me now have a clear direction of where I want my music to go, but also in general, how building a holistic brand that is not necessarily just about music. It's just about it's about the brand that is Chimano, Willis Chimano. Yeah.
And so do you feel now that the art that you're producing feels authentic to you?
It feels authentic. I feel, first of all, for me it's, I feel good. I feel good about it. I feel I always have a warm, fuzzy feeling now. But sometimes I'm just like, is it nerves or is it? I'm just like, these warm, fuzzy feelings are a lot. Or were these what were giving me butterflies before? I just didn't know how to process it. It's only now that I'm using it for my benefit. I always have this warm, wonderful, fuzzy feeling. Sometimes I feel like I'm floating, and also forcing myself to think that, everything's working out for me. Everything's working out for me. Yeah. That's so difficult.
It is. It really is. God. It's hard to have faith in that,
It's hard to have faith, but more and more you realize that when you go out of your way to constantly have a positive mindset, before, when you would have thought when you keep on saying everything's working out for me, there was always a dose of people wanting to root you back in realism. And or people looking at you like you're kooky quirky, just but now I don't know, I don't care as much. I am more, everything's working out for me. Someone threw a pile of shit on me on the road. It's working out for me. It's working out for me.
I'm still believing.
It's working out for me. It's working out for me.
I'm amazing, if you can keep a positive attitude throughout that. I mean, you can keep a positive through anything.
I mean, you still have a right to be upset.
Oh, yeah, of course. I think anyone would be. Yeah. Oh, my goodness. Okay. And so for anyone listening who's I would love to have a more positive attitude, be able to live more in simplicity, like you said, is there anything that really helped you kind of get to that mindset?
You have to work on yourself. There's a lot of, and probably I hope I'm not speaking from a point of privilege because I got to do that, but because there's so much going on. There's so much going on in the world. So that people are going through a lot, and who am I to give you advice on what to do? All I can just say is that I'd never gotten a chance to work on myself the way I have. I thought I had it together. I just thought I had to have this amazing career and make enough money and live a comfortable life and see the world and all of that. And I got to do that, and I got to do a lot of that. But still, at the end of it all, I got the chance to take a break, and I took it. Otherwise, I could have just still gone on in releasing music and doing what I'm used to and doing what I understand, without rocking the boat too much. Because I would say, being this number of years, because I only have one EP, solo EP that I released in 2022. So it has taken a lot out of my soul to not force myself into releasing an album, a debut album, and have this whole, thing, like roll out, and maybe, looking for support for it and funding for it, blah, blah, blah. Because that was my intention in the beginning.
Okay.
But I got the chance to take a break, and I did, and I took it. And so I am grateful for that. So which is, I'm just like, everything's working out for me.
Yeah. Gotta trust the process.
Trust the process.
Trust life.
So but even when you're, when you're not, because sometimes you never do get the chance to take, a break or sabbatical, whatever. I just enjoy sitting in silence where there's nothing else that I think about, nothing else that I'm listening to. I don't have to have a phone or whatever. Sitting in silence really just, it's wonderful. I love my own company.
Yeah, I like
so
that.
much. Oh my God, I'm the best date to myself.
So you just sit like with no phone, you just chill.
just like high-fiving myself.
You don't even need me. Yeah, you can do a podcast by yourself.
You can interview. There. Yeah, so it's literally sitting inside. I enjoy my own company so much.
Not everyone is able to do that. I can't remember the last time I sat by myself and just did nothing.
Oh my God, it's so wonderful. I love daydreaming.
Oh yeah, me too actually. On the train.
On the train, I'm just like
staring out the window.
Staring out the window.
Yeah.
Or people watching, and I'm just like, oh sorry. And just like, okay. And people watching, I was looking out the window, and people watching, and just thinking like, what's her day like today?
Yeah.
What did she have for lunch?
Just watching everyone else's life.
Yeah, watching everyone else's life. But I will say, no, sitting in silence has been wonderful. Or I was talking to my manager, telling me a few days ago, about in this process of as well, like self-discovery, like there are moments when you look into your past where you had, certain feelings and thoughts and so just going through the process of listening to, my music from the band when we started out, when we were hungry, our debut album, listening to that music or listening to the songs when I was a child, like maybe before 10 years old, like when I listened to, they give me a sense of nostalgia. They put me in a place and a time. I remember how our house smelled. I remember, I remember how warm it was. I remember the sun rays looking, like it puts me in a time and a place. So finding those moments and creating time capsules for myself.
I like that.
Yeah, because they do make you feel good.
Yeah.
So and mostly, when I'm daydreaming, I do that, or when find something to listen to that reminds me of not, I would say not happy at times, just remind me of a time and a place that gave me a certain emotion. Yeah.
Are there any, does that kind of like unlock memories that you'd forgotten about when you do that?
Yeah, sometimes it does, but sometimes, it just feels like it keeps on going in a loop.
Yeah.
But there are moments where I remember, or I'm just like, oh yeah, it's at this moment that I figured out, oh my God, I could sing. Or I used to, the artists that I used to listen to, there's a certain Prince song that I remember when I heard the first time, I was like, oh my God, could you be the most beautiful girl in the world? Could you be? Oh my God, that song. Anytime I listen to it, it gives it reminds me when I came back home from school and I'm having my hot chocolate and my hot cocoa and cocoa and bread and bread with butter.
Oh,
and jam.
That's a nice combo.
Yeah, just like it's just playing because there was the chat show that used to play at that time.
Oh, okay.
Remembering the first time I watched Thriller. I was intrigued because I was wondering, how is this music, but then it's so scary. But I think probably also that's what started my journey to loving horror movies. I love horror movies.
Do you? I can't do horror movies.
It's my comfort.
Really?
Yeah.
They put me on edge.
Really?
I don't feel comfortable at all.
So I love that. I love being put on edge like that.
Okay.
Probably, which is why I'm okay with my nerves. I love being put on edge like that. I'm just like, and the,
Oh my God.
I'm just like,
I can't think of anything worse. For me, I'm like, I would never pay to go and see a horror film.
really?
Yeah.
I love it. I love it so much. We have horror movie nights with my friends.
Do you? Have you seen The Substance?
No, I haven't.
That one, I saw that at the movie theater and I didn't know what I was getting myself into.
Oh my God. When is it? Is it new?
It's recent-ish. I think I probably saw it like beginning of the year or end of last year. It was like body horror.
Okay.
Which like in terms of horror, I was like, that's the worst one for me. And so I took my friend, and poor thing also didn't know what was happening. And I looked over and she was doing
Oh my
that.
God.
Yeah.
Body horror. Oh my God, I love your rings.
Oh, thank you. Thank you.
That's so good.
I like yours too. I can see them through
Thank you.
your...
Yeah, I just haven't done my nails, so my nails are a bit chipped. So which is why I wore like a shirt with a long.
so no one can see. I can see them through the fabric.
Yes, this that. So, oh my God, yeah.
I like the mixing of the metals.
Yeah,
I like it.
I was always told like you don't mix metals. You don't mix gold and silver, or rather gold and brass or whatever. But then I'm just like, actually no.
Actually no. Actually, I can do whatever I want.
I can do whatever I want,
and I will.
So yeah, like watching Michael Jackson for the first time, and then me telling my cousin that one day I'm gonna be a superstar.
How old were you when you said that?
How old was I? I think I may have been about 7-8 years old.
Oh my goodness!
Yeah, she laughed a bit, and then it was just not too long ago. She told me like, "I guess you had the last laugh."
Yeah,
just
exactly.
like I did.
I did. Yeah, look at me
now. So it was also like in those moments when I do look back. Also just getting my mom's like choir cassettes and playing over them, pressing, because we had a boombox, so pressing the play button and the record button, and then when you sing over it, it deletes what's underneath, and then like I used to play it back and listen to my voice.
Oh, I love that.
Yeah, not knowing it's deleted my mom's music, so she wasn't too happy about that.
Yeah, imagine she comes home and goes to play her cassette.
Oh my God, she's
surprise,
like,
it's me.
She's like, what the fuck?
This is not what I remember being on here.
Yeah, and the African mothers don't play.
Oh.
So also in those moments, remembering how I saw myself, I saw myself on a stage, like I wanted to do the same thing. I used to be this boy as well. Never really had a lot of friends, so I used to lean against because our house where we lived was next to a playground, so it was like housing estate, whatever. So our house was next to the playground, and I used to just like lean on the wall and just watch other kids play. So sometimes I really dream a lot about that house, like not even daydreaming, like literal actual dreams. I asked my manager Susan, like I told her like I dream about this house every single time, or not every single time, often.
Yeah.
So so it's just one of those things. I'm just like, I don't know what to place it, but then it's the dreams kind of like keep changing, but then same location.
Okay.
So in the beginning it was bare bones, and then other people keep getting added into the house. The interior of the house keeps changing.
Really?
Yeah, but literally I'm always, when I get out, it's always that house. It was house number 216 in an estate called Comoros Sector 2.
I wonder what your brain's trying to tell you with those
I
reoccurring
know,
dreams. Reoccurring but slightly different.
Yeah, I do find it interesting, but I love it every time. But probably it was a place of comfort, because I'm always I feel such comfort when I have those dreams. And then also like with that boy, when I daydream back to that moment, it's like I see myself looking at him and I'm just like, what are you thinking about this moment? But I just want to hug him and just want to tell him like, yeah, I'm here. You're good.
Yeah.
You're good. I see myself literally standing behind him.
Wow.
Yeah, and just being like, yeah, you're good. You'll be good. You'll be fine. So yes.
So you're kind of like watching yourself like from the outside.
Yeah, I'm watching myself from that side. Yeah, you see, cuckoo.
We love it though. We love it. And so if there is anyone, like a young person listening, a young queer person, maybe like living in Africa, is there something that you would want to tell them or share with them in particular?
that I love you and you are loved and your story is your superpower. I know each and every one of us have different circumstances because, not everyone can come out. People choose their own battles, and a lot as well stay invisible. I would just say, just listen to your gut, listen to your body. You'll be fine. And I know it's hard to put it in words in terms of like not understanding every person's situation, but I also just do hope that slowly by slowly, as more and more stories keep getting told, because your story is your superpower, more and more stories keep getting told, the more and more you find yourself as a human being, the more you find yourself in your art, everybody's creative in their own way. Everyone. That's why humanity is what humanity is. That's where humanity has gotten. If we look at the positives of where humanity has gotten to, we're all creatives, and a lot of us are stifled creatives, and as well because also capitalism does a thing. It has. I won't get into that.
that's a third podcast episode.
That's number 3. That we'll come back to. It's at its benefits, though. But so like when you get to your story is your superpower. When you get to a point of like finding yourself and the first start is it's not about you coming out. It's about you accepting yourself and loving yourself as a human being, and know that you're worthy, and know that you being on this planet isn't an accident, and you deserve to live a full happy life. And the road won't be easy, but it's worth it for starting by loving yourself and working towards that, and the rest shall follow.
I really like what you're saying about like storytelling, like everyone's story mattering, and I'm really grateful that you're here, like sharing your story with us as well. And I wonder, like, I've got like a couple more questions. I won't keep you here all morning.
No worries.
Is there anything that you wish I'd asked or like would like to speak about that I haven't asked you that you would want to talk about?
I mean, what I would say, like on top of like storytelling, it's I'm gonna just promote myself now.
Yeah.
So
that was my next question. I was gonna say, what are you working on? Tell us about your upcoming projects as well.
I'm almost done with my book memoir. Heavy as a Crown, part manifesto, part memoir, all hard. So it's just me furthering. It's just me talking about who it is that I am as a person and my philosophies. It's nowhere near an autobiography or a biography. What's the difference between auto and bio?
Is auto when you do it about yourself?
Yeah. Biography is when it's just written about.
I think so. Yeah. I need to fact check that. But I think that's what it is.
That's what I'm fully working on and focusing on. And now I'm excited as well to and also I'm now because we didn't want to go back into the rat race as well as how I said before in terms of like making everything big, and because that would be a thing to do, and then get back into the rat race and stress over money and fundings and all of that. But the prudent thing and what works for us is that we decided to go small and build community, and be on spaces like Sex in Space. Spaces like Sex in Space. And as well musically, because I've rarely performed my first EP, and as well I've just rarely performed solo. So we came up with what's called Chimano Intimates, which is probably as well like what we're gonna get. I'm performing at the Jazz Cafe tonight.
Yeah,
by
amazing.
by the time where I'm sure it'll be done by the time this is being aired. No,
unless I'm really quick on it. Yeah.
So it's Chimano Intimates, and Chimano Intimates it's also just about building a community and building I don't want to call it a fan base. It's just honestly building community.
Yeah.
And me being closer to people who we can grow together, who can watch me grow, I can watch them grow, and all of that, because as well that's just going back to the basic tenets of just building a brand. And so Chimano Intimates is something that we are fully working on the books. Oh yeah, I'm gonna be performing at Fringe Festival in Adelaide again, in Sydney, and perhaps Melbourne, and then perhaps I'm gonna come back to the UK.
Yeah,
so it's gonna be
be
a combination of so the book, the Chimano Intimates tour, and a book tour.
Amazing.
And I can't wait to. Now, I think, if I'm not wrong, we're just going to start releasing more music, but then we're entering into like a different era.
Okay.
That we have curated and created, and we're still creating with Susan. We're just trying to build a certain world, because we just have to. We have to have a lot of discernment to this new chapter we're going into, and because we want to start having its evolution, and also just start now fully creating worlds and eras in which the next era of Willis Chimano is going to be this. So I'm so looking forward to that, and honestly, just and working on my overall image, and we'll see where that goes. I hope I haven't forgotten anything. And to have fun.
Yeah.
And to have fun.
Can't forget that.
And a lot of sex and space.
Yeah. Do you think you would go to space if you had the opportunity? A return ticket. You would.
I would.
Okay.
I would. I definitely would.
Yeah.
Oh my God, I would. Yeah. I know it's controversial, but those people who went to space.
Yeah.
That one. Yeah.
Yeah. That was.
Yeah. I'm conflicted, because I'm just like, oh God, I know the politics behind it. But
if we had like a little bubble, and it was just like the most innocent,
Yeah, put it in there. I would.
Okay.
I definitely would.
Thank you so much for your time, Chimano.
Thank you
for sharing your story and for being on the podcast with us.
Thank you.
I really appreciate it.
Thank you for having me.
And that's a wrap.
And that was Sex in Space. And it was I, your presenter, Willis Chimano, darling.
We've got a new host on Sex in Space.